All right, good morning. We're going to be doing a Yin flow class today. My name's Elise. If you haven't had my class before, please be mindful if you've got any injuries going on, take a step back. And if you have any tightness in your body, just try and breathe through it, especially in a Yin class. It's really important. We're going to be focusing on the hips and a little bit of the shoulders today and the spine. So take it easy, enjoy the class, and make sure that you try and sit with the postures. We do have long holds, so take your time. All right, we're going to start in a wide balasana. So take your knees as wide as the mat and bring your toes to touch at the back. Spider walk your hands forward, keeping the hips toward the heels, and find some length through your spine. As you find that length, the maximum length in your spine, with the hips still reaching down to the heels, press the palms down into the ground. Externally rotate the shoulders and relax the forehead to the ground. And with this posture, I just want you to find your breath. So take a nice long inhale into the upper regions of your spine, into your chest, and an exhale, sinking the hips down towards the heels, finding that openness in your shoulders. Finding that space in your body, giving yourself the time to really relax and tune in to your connection to the ground. And with every breath, finding a little bit more of gravity doing the work for you, sinking the hips down towards the heels. Finding that full expansion of the rib cage with every breath. So in this flow class, we are, as I say, going to be taking our time. We're going to be doing 3 to 5 minute holds. And at times that can feel a little bit intense. So the idea with Yin is to acknowledge that and use your breath as a tool to surpass some of that discomfort. Try not to move out of the posture, but if it's really, really uncomfortable, then do what you need to do. I'll be giving modifications throughout. With every breath, finding a little bit more openness through the hips, openness through the shoulders. And really finding that length in your breath. An extended inhale. An extended exhale. And in this moment, you can really do a body scan all the way from the fingertips to the toes, acknowledging any tension areas that maybe your breath can't quite get to right now. And maybe spending a little bit more time on those areas as you take your next inhale and take your next exhale. A couple more breaths here. Tuning into your practice. Belly rises on the next inhale. Belly falls. And on the next inhale, gently rise your hips up and walk your knees into about hip width distance. I really need you to walk your hands underneath your shoulders and keep your hips in line with the knees. So try not to make them come too far back, the hips, or too far forward. You want them about the same line as the knees. And then all you're going to do is walk your hands to the top of your mat. Externally rotate your hands so you're internally rotating your arms. And just drop the chest down. It can be a bit more uncomfortable than your average puppy pose. Opening up the shoulders and the thoracic spine. If you're not 100% to the floor with the chest, it's not necessary. The Yin practice is not about having the perfect final posture. It's more about what's your natural alignment at this stage. You can relax the head a little if you wish. And just breathe into those areas of tension. Finding that stretch in the serratus anterior. This is about a 2-minute hold. Try and relax your legs a little. And with every breath, allow your chest to open up, and maybe you'll find it sinking slowly closer to the ground. Giving yourself that body scan again, right from the fingertips all the way to the toes. Particular attention to the upper part of your spine and the middle back. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and slowly turn your palms in. Walk your hands up, back underneath the shoulders. We used to do a couple of cat-cows to mobilize the spine. Drop the belly button down towards the floor, kick the tailbone up. Externally rotate the shoulders. Shoulders come away from ears, chin away from chest, look up. Exhale. Bring the tailbone under, bring the belly button up towards the spine. Really bring your chin into your chest and ground the palms down to the floor. So you feel that arch in the spine. A couple more like this. Inhale, chin away from chest, kick tailbone up, look up, lengthening the throat. Exhale, tailbone under, belly button in towards spine, really ground the hands down again and chin to chest. Maybe find your belly button with your gaze and really chin into your middle to upper back. One more time, inhale. Chin away from chest, feeling the connection with the fingertips on the floor. Open up the shoulders. Exhale, tailbone under. Really press into the upper part of your spine, bringing the belly button up towards the spine. And then neutralize the spine. Bringing that left hand now to the center of your mat. Bring your right arm up, lengthen. And then exhale, needle thread your right arm underneath your left. So far, reach it to the left side of whichever space you're in right now and drop the right shoulder down. Drop the right shoulder down and drop the right side of your head to the ground. Extend your left arm up and over so you can balance on the fingertips for support. This is stage 1 of this posture, and that might be enough. Notice if your hips are reaching to the left side a little bit, just knock them back to the right side, opening up the shoulder here. If you want to take this posture a little bit further, you can curl the left toes under, shift a little bit to the right, and take that left leg up to meet the right hand. And maybe you can just grab the foot with the right hand, grabbing the left foot with the right hand. And this is the final stage of the posture. You can just stay here a couple minutes on your left side. Just allowing all the weight to sink down into the ground, especially towards the shoulder. So you're finding that a little bit opening in the upper part of your shoulder. Take one more inhale, bring your left hand to the ground, use it as support to exit the posture. Bring your right hand back to center, bring your left foot back to center. Bring your right hand to the center, and then left arm reaches up, all the way up to the ceiling, opening up the chest, and then exhale, needle thread the left arm underneath the right, fully reaching towards the right side of your space, and drop the left shoulder down. Left side of the face relaxes on the floor, and the right arm can fully extend ahead of you, coming to the fingertips of that right arm. And again, just notice your right hips are wanting to go to the right, so push them a little bit back to the left. You can stay here, that might be enough for you today. Otherwise, you curl the right toes under, and you take the right foot to meet the left hand. And maybe you can just cradle the right foot with the left hand. And allow some weight through the left shoulder. And come back to your breath. Once you've found the pose, it takes a couple of moments to find the pose. But once you find that, find your stillness. Find a way to relax your weight and allow gravity to do the work for you in this practice. Allowing the weight through the left shoulder. Finding that belly breath. Belly in and up, and then exhale. Belly comes down. And on the next inhale, soften the right palm to the ground. Unnidle thread the left hand back to center, and bring the right leg back in. So you're back into your cat-cow tabletop position. Curl the toes under and bring it into your first downward dog. Just tapping out the feet a little bit, lengthening the hamstrings, pulling the shoulders back away from the ears, softening the pose. And then finding your stillness, bring that left foot a little bit more to the center of your mat, and right leg gently comes up behind you as you gently bring the right leg forward to the outside of the right hand. Dropping the left knee to the floor. Before you do that, you might want to just do a little hip circle, opening up that left hip. That's absolutely fine. And then drop the left knee down, untuck the left toes. Stage one of this pose is to keep your arms straight and just gently hug the inner right thigh in. If that feels comfortable and you don't feel much through the left hip flexor, you can use the block to go halfway and drop the forearms on the block. If you feel that also is still very comfortable, you can take it all the way down to the ground. But if your right elbow is starting to lift, it's an indication that maybe you've gone a bit too far. So just listen to your body and then gently hug the right inner thigh in and allow your left hip to sink to the ground. We're going to take 2 minutes here. Relax your right toes. You can close your eyes down in this practice. It's an internal practice. And the more you close your eyes, the more you can really tune in to all the sensations that you're feeling. Whether that be an increased heartbeat, a little bit of numbness through your hands or your feet, or maybe even a tingling sensation. All of those are natural. It just is an indication something's happening, something's shifting. Come back to your breath. Come back to your body scan. Noticing those areas of tension. And use every breath to deepen your pose, allowing more weight into that left hip. So you feel a deeper stretch. The more you relax, the more you let go, the more you receive in Yin. Couple more breaths here. And on the next inhale, if you're on your hands and your arms astray, I just want you to lean to the left. Take the right hand off the floor. Come to the edge of your right foot and bring your right hand to the inside of your right knee and open up your chest and lean back, straightening the right arm. If you're on your forearm or on the block, you can keep that forearm down and do exactly the same thing. Coming to the edge of the right foot, leaning to the left, bringing the hand to the inside of the right leg. And again, try to open up your chest and don't tense your right shoulder. Bring it away from the ear. And again, once you find the position that you're most comfortable in, close your eyes down. These are going to be quite intense postures on your hips, your IT bands. So just breathe. It's your best tool. And again, with every breath, you maybe find that left hip flexor comes closer to the ground. Allow it to. Give yourself permission to relax more deeply toward the floor. And as you do, you'll feel more stretch through the outer side of your right leg. Couple more breaths here. Take a longer inhale, a longer exhale, and gently guide your right knee back to center, bringing the sole of the right foot to the ground, bringing your right hand to the inside, and coming back up onto your hands if you're on your forearms. And then you can walk that right foot to the center. There are two options here. Okay, if you're finding it really uncomfortable on your back knee, you can always use the bolster, or maybe roll up your mat if you don't have a bolster, and just put it underneath the kneecap of the left leg. You want to come to the edge of the right foot again, but now your foot is in the center of your mat. You can either just keep your hands to either side of that right foot and keep upright, keeping the chest open and allowing the right knee to fall deeper to the ground. So really allow it to flop to the right side. This is stage 1. And stage 2 is to actually take your right hand underneath a needle thread underneath the right leg, drop the forearms to the ground and cradle the right toes. This is a deeper expression of the pose, and it might not be accessible to you today. That's okay. Keep your shoulders relaxed, close down the eyes. Now you've found your position. And sink the left hip flexor down to the ground. Couple minutes here. And when you feel that sensation building, note to take a longer inhale. Take a longer exhale. And rather than move out of the position, move through the position. And allow that knee to soften closer to the ground. And in that way, you're changing the neurological pathways. And maybe you won't feel that discomfort anymore. Maybe it's going to shift. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. And then bringing your hands to the ground. If you're in the full expression, bringing the right foot to the ground. Or needle threading the right hand if it's there. Bring it back to the outside of the foot. Those of you in stage 1 are already there. Coming to your fingertips. Lean back, opening up the hamstring this time, releasing the left hip flexor and flexing the right toes. Try to keep your spine relatively straight and your hips relatively parallel. If you have it in your practice to bend the elbows and soften them, you can find more depth and more compression between the chest and the thigh. Just a 1 minute hold here. It's more like a rebound pose for the hip flexor. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then bring the sole of the foot to the ground. This is when we're going to go to the deepest expression, Hanumanasana. So for those of you who know that you don't have the splits in your practice, you can use your blocks and your bolster. Really is whichever way you feel is right for you. But you might want to just soften it actually to begin and just play around with the motion, getting a feel of where you're at. Now for those of you with a full split, you can just slide the right foot forward and drop the left hip down, and maybe tuck the back toes under, kick the heel back and drop the hips down. I personally like to take my right hand behind me and grab the back leg and grab the front leg to straighten up. If this isn't in your practice and you're still in the half Hanumanasana, take your block and place it underneath the right leg. Either on the lowest point, the middle point, or the highest point. Again, it's your practice, so you need to really work it out. You can straighten yourself up if you wish, or you can bring yourself a little bit further over the leg. Find your point of stillness, and if the block's really uncomfortable underneath your thigh, use the bolster on top of the block, and that can make it a little bit more comfortable. Keeping the spine straight, or maybe just bringing it over the front leg. It's only a 1 minute hold because it is a deep expression. Take one more inhale. If you're folded forward, bring yourself back up. Curl the back toes under. Curl the back toes under. And then slowly bring yourself out of the posture, dropping the left knee to the ground. Bring your hands parallel to the right foot, and then bring your right leg back towards the left. And just soften and pad out the feet. Feel what that feels like in the right hip, the right hamstring. This is your gentle rebound here, so just pad out the heels. And finding some stillness. Gently bring your your right foot back to the center, and then the left foot gently off the ground. Gently bring it through, and then drop the left hand to the inside of the left foot. Drop the right knee down. Stage 1 is straight arms. If you want to do that little hip motion I talked about in the right side, you can do that. Just drawing circles with the right hip, clockwise, anti-clockwise, just to soften the pose. And then dropping the knee down, untuck the toes. Noticing what's happening with the left inner thigh, maybe just hug it in slightly. And maybe this is your posture. Maybe you close the eyes down. Otherwise, using the block and resting the forearms on the block, or bringing it down to the full expression, forearms on the ground. And as you do that, notice what's happening with the right hip. On this side for me, it's coming up a little bit, so I'm just going to soften it down and close the eyes down too. Relaxing the shoulders. And by relaxing, all you're really doing is stressing the joint as opposed to using muscular tension to hold the pose up. Allows you to really improve the quality of the tissue, the connective tissue that's around the muscles. Super important part of Yin. Take one more inhale, and use that inhale to come up with the forearms if you're on them. If you are going to do the first stage of the second pose, so coming to the edge of the left foot, leaning to the right, taking the left hand off the floor, and taking to the inside of the left knee. You have to lean and open the chest and try and straighten up the left arm, keeping the left shoulder away from the left ear. Or you can do this if you're still on your forearms, or choose to be still on your forearms. Just lean back and open the chest. And then find a place you can be still, be heavy, be relaxed. Maybe just softening the head to the ground, even getting a little stretch through that left side of your neck. It's as passive as you can make it. One more inhale, and then using your left hand to assist your left knee in, softening the left sole of the foot to the ground. Bring your left hand in to the inside of the left foot, and then walk that left foot about to the center of your mat, and taking a little bit ahead of the hands. From here, option one is to come to the edge of the left foot again, but bring that left hand to the outside of the left foot, and just stay upright. Stage two is to take that left arm underneath needle, thread it underneath the left leg, bring the forearms to the ground and cradle the toes of the left foot. This allows you to go deeper into that left hip and drop the left knee down, softening and sinking into the right hip flexor. And yes, it can be quite intense. Again, if you need some support on the right knee, make sure you put a block or a bolster there. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands to the ground. If you're needle threaded under, bring it over and bring that left foot back to the ground. Bringing the left hand to the outside of the left foot, and now again lean back. This is your rebound into your hamstring. Keeping the chest open and the spine as straight as possible. If you've got it in your practice, softening the elbows and bringing that chest closer to the left thigh. And again, just tune into any differences between your left side and your right side. Maybe one's moving a little bit better than the other. It's completely normal. It's very natural not to have perfectly aligned sides. And then coming forward on the next inhale, and maybe you just play around with it, mobilizing into the hips a little bit, if you feel like that's something you want to do. And if you have the full Namasté, you want to slide the left heel forward, maybe keeping the back toes tucked under for now, just to make sure you have a good hip alignment. Maybe you can't go all the way down, you want to just stay here without any assistance of the blocks or the bolster, or you drop it down, getting the hips down. And again, personal preference, I like to take my left hand behind, right hand forward, untuck the toes to make sure I've got some sort of hip alignment going on. If this is not for you, keep those toes tucked, keep it in your half Namasté, taking your block or your bolster, maybe you take a higher, that's okay, and walk your right knee back. And just find a place underneath the thigh that feels comfortable. It might take you a couple of moments to get there, but once you're there, try and sit into this. A nice compression on the hamstring with the block. You can keep your body straight, release the hands, or you can bring the chest closer to the thigh and close it down a little bit. Your choice. Only a 1 minute hold, and we're well over halfway now. And then slowly using your hands as support, find a relatively graceful way to exit the posture. Bringing the left sole of foot back to the ground, hands to either side of the left foot, and gently walk that left foot back into your downward dog, taking that gentle rebound here. And again, tuning into how that left hip's feeling, that left hamstring. And slowing it down. We're going to take it into our pigeon now, so bring the right leg back up, just gently. And swing it forward, so the right knee comes towards the right wrist. And for those of you with relatively open hips, the right ankle comes towards the left wrist. Again, I personally curl the back toes under and kick the heel back to allow me to get my hips into good alignment, and then untuck the toes when I feel like I'm there. If you have very tight hips and you know it, bring your left ankle, your left heel towards your right hip, left hip. Yeah. Now, again, some of you might have super, super tight hips, so you might want to put the block underneath your right butt cheek and just give a little bit of leverage there, elevation. That's okay. Or maybe you want to use the block or the bolster just to rest your head. Or maybe you just want to come all the way down. Right palm down, left palm on top of right, and rest the forehead, gently rocking from right to left, giving a little massage through the head. Working deeply into your hips, your IT band, and eventually your piriformis muscle, all really areas of great tension. With every exhale, softening and deepening in towards your right hip. So maybe use your breath, direct it towards the right hip. Finding that stillness. And breathing towards your edge. That edge that feels just slightly uncomfortable, slightly tense. And going beyond it. For those who would like a little bit more in this pose, you can actually extend your right arm forward. Extend your right arm forward. And then needle thread your left arm underneath your right arm. As if you're trying to reach to the right side of your space as much as possible. Once you have that, drop the left shoulder to the ground. Drop the left side of your face to the ground. You can stay here or take it one step further. Take the right arm over and grab the right toes, which can be a little tricky to find. But once you've got that big toe, then you can find your stillness. Great shoulder opener at the same time as opening your hips. Once you find the pose that's right for you, close your eyes. And just breathe. Softening the forehead. Maybe taking the tongue from the roof of your mouth. Just noticing where you're maybe compensating for any discomfort elsewhere in the body. One more inhale. One more exhale. If your hands catching the toe, bring it back to center, and then unneedle thread the left hand. So you're going to walk curl your back toes under first, and then walk your right heel closer, so it's almost underneath the right thigh. And you're going to walk your left foot all the way over to the right. Your left foot all the way over to the right. And then you're going to walk your upper torso also over to the right, like you're trying to make a half crescent pose. This shall take the pose straight into your piriformis muscle. So untuck the toes, soften the elbows, and wherever you are, if you're slightly upright, that's fine. If you can bring your forehead to the hands, that's great too. But it's totally fine to stay upright if you feel that that's your range for today. And this stretch should be felt in the outside edge of your butt cheek and all the way down the outside edge of your thigh. If it's not really there, you should maybe walk your foot further to the right and maybe walk your upper torso further to the right. And sink your hips down more. Couple more breaths here. Finding a little bit more depth, a little bit more relaxation, and a little bit more stillness. And then slowly bring your forehead off the tops of your hands, if that's where it is. Bring your hands back to center. Tuck the back toes and walk your foot back in. You're going to then sink your butt to the right and bring your left leg forward. Left leg forward. You're going to bring your right knee over the left knee. Right knee over the left knee. You're going to lengthen the spine and inhale, lengthen all the way up. Ideally keeping the left toes flexed. And this is where I like to call it ragdoll effect. So you have to just flop forward, softening the elbows and softening the head. As you do that, you should feel a deep stretch through the hamstring. Now, for some of you out there, you might want to assist yourself with a block. Either putting it here between the knee and the forehead. And again, any height is totally fine. You might need the block and the bolster. It really is personal, this one. So just go for what's right for you. And again, find it as soon as you can, and then soften the pose. And drop the head down. Finding that length through the back line of fascia, which actually runs right from the middle of your foot all the way to the top, where your forehead is. So the more you relax and breathe, the more you soften all that connective tissue in your back line. Keeping those left toes flexed. Keeping the arms heavy and the fingers light.
Maybe come back to that body scan from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. On your inhale, starting at the head, and on your exhale, working your way all the way down the back line, through the hamstring, towards the toes. And with every exhale, notice that maybe you're making or closing the gap between your forehead and your knee, or maybe if your forehead is already on your knee, you're finding more pressure there. Take one more inhale and lift the head. Straightening the spine. And on the exhale, just take your right leg behind you. Working into the quadricep with the next one. So ideally the two knees are together. But again, if you have tight hips or tension through the ankle, you're going to take your knees nice and wide. Options are to just walk your hands back and stay with an open chest. Option 2 is to take it to the forearms. Option 3 is to take it all the way to the ground and take the arms over the head. Most important thing is to make sure your knee doesn't come off the ground. So if you have your knees together, great, but if you're bringing your knees together at the expense of your knee coming off the ground, it's not really worth it. Just take your knees nice and wide. And then close the eyes down and bring it back to your breath, through the belly, through the chest, through the hip flexor, through the knee, maybe even through the ankle. Bringing it back to all those sensations you might be feeling. Any tingling through the foot. Maybe an opening sensation through the right hip. And on the next inhale, taking your hands down towards your hips, and then using your elbows or forearms as support to gently exit the posture if you're all the way down. Lean to the left and release the right. And just maybe gently tap out the right foot. You can feel a little numb at this stage. And then soften it up. Allowing the blood to rush back into the ankle joint and the knee joint. We're going to take it to square pose. So bend the left leg and take it ideally parallel to the top of your mat. So see the top of the mat and as if you're trying to draw a line with the calf or the shin. And then take the right ankle on top of the left knee. Right ankle on top of the left knee. Exactly on top. So the right knee is also on top of the left ankle. And don't worry if your knee is rising at this time, mine is. It's going to soften a little bit once we get into the full expression. And I'm going to show you the full and I'm going to show you the modified after. So inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, you just flop forward, ragdoll forward like I talked about before. Ideally keeping the feet flexed so you get a little bit more tension through the pose. You should feel it again through the right IT band, right through into the hips. Now this might not be very comfortable for some of you, and it might be very difficult to get your ankle on top of your knee. So bring that right foot ahead of you. So you've got the 2 feet ahead of one another. And then you can just flop forward. It's less intense, but you're still working the same areas. Just flopping forward like that. Take your pose, find your stillness. This is a little bit longer hold. It's quite a deep one. It's about 3 minutes long. So really remember to relax your head. Soften it to the ground. If you're really uncomfortable doing these forward folds, you can always place a block underneath your butt or pick the bolster and place it just on top of the legs. And this one can be pretty emotional. We're working really deep into the hips here. I think the first time I did this, tears rolled down my eyes. So try and just take that breath really into your head. Internalize the practice. Close the eyes and breathe. Long inhale, long exhale. And sink. Relax your left leg. Don't hold on there. Relax your shoulders. Relax your head. Relax the hips. And soften your breath. Couple more breaths here. Finding that maximum length of your inhale and your exhale. And then slowly bringing yourself up into a straight spine. And we're going to slide your right knee on top of your left knee. See, they're almost right on top of each other, like parallel to one another. If this is really challenging to do, you can bring your hands ahead of you and actually lean, get your hips up and just stand on your knees almost. So get the right knee ahead of the left knee. And once you have that, you can sink the hips back down. And again, don't worry if the feet come out a little bit, that's okay. You can rest the hands on the feet and just close the eyes down. Or again, you can forward fold. Just a 1 minute pause, this one. Bringing the bolster or the block between you and the knees if necessary. Options also is to bring your right arm up and over. Take your left arm behind you and interlace the fingers. Bring it into the shoulders as well a little bit. There are many options in these poses. It's really finding out what's right for you in this moment. With the shoulders, it's a bit more active, so your choice. You can keep it passive if you wish. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then using your hands, bring the weight forward. Tuck the back toes under, and then release the right leg, bringing it back into your downward dog position. And guess what? We're going to do all of that again on the left side. So, softening and finding your rebound here. Noticing how much more open that right leg is right now. Allowing all those sensations to just roll through. And then bring that left leg gently up and bring it all the way through into your pigeon pose. So left heel, ankle towards right wrist and left knee towards left wrist. For those of you with the open hips, remember to bring that left ankle closer to the right wrist, paralleling the top of your mat. Kick the back toes under to keep the back leg straight and the hips aligned. Those of you with less openness in the hips, using the block underneath the left hip as to give some elevation, or using the block on the forehead and just resting here on the mid one or the high one. And you can bring that leg in a little bit more towards the right hip if it's uncomfortable for you. Each side is going to be different again. So find your pose. Those of you all the way down, left hand, right hand on top, forehead to the ground. And whilst we're here, if you'd like to take it further, remember you can always lengthen the left arm ahead of you, needle thread the right arm through, reaching as far as you can to the left side, and then dropping the right shoulder down and the right ear down. And then if you wish, taking that left arm up and over and working towards grabbing your left toes, or left big toe even. And then closing the eyes down. It's a slightly deeper stretch through the left eye T-band and piriformis muscle here. Your choice. A little bit more into the shoulder. Relax your right arm. Taking one more inhale, unraveling the left hand, bringing it down to the ground for support, bringing the right arm back to center. And this time again, walking the left heel closer underneath the left thigh, and then walking the right foot all the way to the left, finding a little stretch through the right hip. Really walk it as far as you can. And then upper torso also to the left, making a half crescent pose, either keeping your arms straight, forearms down, or dropping the head to the hands. Again, you can untuck the back toes and notice any resistance in the left or the right side. Maybe there's more on one side, one more less on the other side. Try to soften. Try not to hold on. Notice what's going on in the shoulders. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe into those areas that are really pulling right now. And with the exhale, sink the hips down to the floor more. Allow your forehead, if you're down, to sink towards the hands. And use your breath to open up those spaces. They're really, really not wanting to cooperate right now. And the next inhale, bringing your forehead off the hands if you're there, or if you're on your forearms, just walk yourself back to center. Tuck the back toes under and gently release, and bringing that right leg back to center. You're going to lean to the left, and bring the right leg through to the front. You might want to just release the left leg a little bit, allow the blood to rush back through the left knee and left ankle, and then bring it up and over. So the left knee is on top of the right knee. If you're really struggling with this pose, you can always bring it a little bit less intense. So you can bring the ankle over the knee. That's an option. It's not really the same pose. It's not as deep, but you can still flop forward and get a little stretch through the hip. But ideally you want the two knees on top of one another. Again, you can always use the block or the bolster at whichever height's right for you. Find that length. Flex the right toes. And then exhale, flop forward. Forehead toward the knee. opening up the back line of tissue. And whilst you're doing this practice, notice where your head's at. If you've found so far that maybe you're fidgeting a lot in the poses, you're finding them too long, or whatever's going on in your head right now, just acknowledge it, be an observer of it, and know that that's just your practice today. Tomorrow it might be different. Maybe you're more patient, or maybe it's vice versa for you today. Maybe you're finding that stillness really quickly, and you're finding that peace, that depth. And that's that for today. Super. Lengthen your inhale. Lengthen your exhale. And then gently using your hands as support, roll up the spine, lengthen, straighten the spine. And take the left leg behind you. And again, taking that wide knee position. If you know you've got tension through the hips or the ankle, or you've got some knee issues going on, otherwise bring the knees together. Keeping the right toes flexed to begin, but you can relax it once you're down there. And you can start with a straight spine, opening the chest. You might want to just stay here. Taking it down to the forearms. Always paying attention to what's happening with your left knee as you go deeper. And then maybe all the way down to the floor. Now, as soon as I do that, my left knee comes up because I've got some tension in my left side. So I'm going to move my left knee further away from my right and allow my knee to touch the floor. You can keep your arms down or take them up, opening up, grabbing the elbows. And you can relax the right foot now. Close the eyes down. Soften the face. Deepen the breath. Be aware of any pulsations through the body. Just find that place where you can be content. Motionless. And on the next inhale, if you're all the way down, use your elbows and bring yourself up. Support yourself. Lean to the right and release the left. Gently, slowly, mindfully. Each time you come into a rebound, give yourself time to recalibrate. Allow that hip to open up, the knee, the ankle, just gently rock it. And this time we're going to take it into square pose, so on the other side. So left knee goes under, right leg comes over. Or if you did it the other way around, do it the other way around. We always get a little mixed up. I think I did it the other way for me. So I'm going to take the left ankle on top of the right, and the right ankle underneath the left. Whichever one you did the first time, do the opposite on the second one. Keep the feet flexed. And again, remember, it doesn't matter that your left knee is slightly raised at this point. That's normal. As you lengthen and then ragdoll forward and soften, that left knee should come down. If this isn't the pose for you today, take that left foot ahead of the right foot and just gently rock forward. Same pose, less intense. 3-minute hold. You had about 30 seconds. And if you're in the full expression, try to flex the feet a little bit. It will bring more depth to the pose. Relax the head. Relax the shoulders. Quieten everything in your body. Soften your right knee. Thirty more seconds here. Keep softening the head. Allow gravity to do the work. And then on the next inhale, really mindfully bring yourself all the way up. 1 more minute hold into cow pose. So bring your left knee on top of your right knee and use the adjustment I suggested before. If you're struggling to get there, push through the hands and bring the knees on the floor, bringing the left knee ahead of the right knee and then bringing it back down. Bring the hands to the soles of the feet, lengthening the spine. Maybe that's enough. If you want to lean forward, you can do. If you want to put the block between you and the knee and the forehead, you can do that. Or you can take left arm up and over, right arm underneath. Try to grab the fingertips for a more active shoulder stretch too. And leaning forward. Your choice. Take 1 more inhale. 1 more exhale. And then slowly bring yourself back up. Bring your hands behind you, lean back, unravel the legs and bring the soles of the feet to the ground. You're going to bring it into a thoracic twist. So I need you to bring your knees to the left. Both knees to the left and try and get your right top of knee to touch the left sole of foot. Touch the left sole of foot. Walk your upper body to the left. Now start tall, opening the chest, relaxing the shoulders. And And then coming back to center, bringing the soles of the feet to the ground. And taking your knees to the right, bringing the sole of the foot to the top of the left knee. And then spider walk your hands to the right, opening up the upper torso, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Just warming up the spinal twist. Then bringing it back to center. We're going to do that one more time, but take it deeper. So bring the left sole of foot to the top of the right knee. Walk your hands back. Finding that maximum spinal twist you can go for. Bringing the palms to the ground. The right arm in needle threads the left arm. Now you have to soften the left elbow a little bit and really bring a lean to the right to drop the right shoulder down and the right side of your face down to the floor. It can be a little challenging to get into this position. It's not the most easy. And then once you're there, try and walk your left fingertips on top of the right wrist. So the left hand is supporting the right wrist. And you bring a little pressure there. Push against the right wrist. And find that deep stretch through the thoracic spine. The left foot is still in contact with the right knee. It's just a 1 minute hold this. But once you're in the position, softening the right elbow to the ground, right shoulder to the ground, right elbow, right wrist. Feeling that contact with the floor. The left elbow is pointing to the ceiling. And really breathe and direct your breath into your middle to upper back now. This is where you should be feeling it. So allow your ribcage to really expand and really decompress. Take one more inhale. Filling up to the middle back, and then exhale through to the hips. Take your left hand off the right wrist. Use your left hand to push and exit the posture. Unneedle thread the right arm. Notice what your spine is doing. Bring the soles of the feet to the ground and bring your knees to the right side. Making sure the right sole of foot is on top of the left knee. Doing that gentle spinal twist to start, keeping tall. And when you find your maximum spinal twist, needle thread the left arm underneath the right. And then you have to lean a little bit to the left, soften the right elbow, and drop the left shoulder to the ground, left side of the face to the ground. Keeping the contact between the right sole of foot and the left top thigh. And then you bring the hand on top of the left wrist, the right hand on top of the left wrist. The right elbow pointing to the ceiling, and you soften the left wrist, left elbow, left shoulder down into the earth, and breathe. Breathe into that thoracic spine, right into the center middle part of your spine. One minute hold. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then take the right hand off the left wrist. Use your right hand to support. Unneedle thread the left arm. Again, finding that sensation through the upper back, bringing the soles of the feet to the ground. And then just sitting back towards the back of your mat now. And extend your legs out wide for a wide leg stretch. Bringing the hands forward. You can start small, but I want your knees to remain pointing to the ceiling. And I start with your feet nice and flexed. You can walk your hands forward, keep the chest open and the shoulders down. Stage one is just like this. Keeping a little contraction through the thigh muscles to support the hamstrings. If that's comfortable, you can go further. You can drop the forearms to the ground. If you want to bring a block into the equation, you can do so. Or a bolster if it's more comfortable. If you have more openness in your hips, tilt the pelvis forward, kick the tailbone more up, and work towards grabbing the outside edges of your feet. Dropping the chest down. And then maybe changing the position of your feet so you're bringing the toes towards the floor. For those of you who really have problems with your forward folds, the block is there for you to go underneath the butt. So you can rock a little bit more forward. If you don't have a block, anything that gives you a little bit of elevation will suffice. Finding that position. And taking your breath deeper. Take one more inhale, one more exhale, and then slowly, if you're all the way down, work your way up. Bend the left leg in, bring your left hand behind you, fingers face away from you. Inhale, right arm comes up, lift the hips up, open up the hips. Exhale, come down. Bring that left leg out, bring the right leg in. Right hand behind you, fingers face away from you, left arm comes up, lift the hips up, open up the hips, open up the chest. Exhale, come back down. Extend the right leg out, and now bend the left leg the opposite direction, so the foot's coming behind you. This is called angry dragon. It could be a little aggressive in the hips. So we're going to inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, flop over the right leg. Now, I really don't want you to think about alignment here. So soften the right leg, soften the right foot. And allow your body just to do its natural thing. So whether that means leaning more to the right or leaning more to the left, so be it. If you need, again, the block or the bolster to assist, just bring it over the leg as a support. Or maybe to the side of the leg so you can lean on it. Then do that. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just what feels comfortable for you to be still. Take one more inhale, lift yourself up. Now change the direction so you're just forward folding ahead of you. And this is when it gets a little uncomfortable in your left hip. Again, using the block or the bolster just to lean on or rest on, take it as high as you need it. It's really a personal choice. Try to keep with this one. I know there's a lot of discomfort. So take a longer inhale, take a longer exhale, And close the eyes down for the last few breaths. Work through it rather than away from it. And then on the next inhale, bring yourself up. Lean to the right and really slowly release and straighten the left. Then we're going to do that on the opposite side. So lean to the left, bend the right. Lengthen the arms up, taking the blocks or the bolsters that you need, and exhale. Ragdoll over the left leg, allowing your body to fall to the left or the right, it doesn't matter. Finding something that's comfortable for you. And if it's slightly different on this side, I'm certainly leaning a lot more to my left on this one. It's okay, it's just that's what's going on in your body right now. Try to not hold on in the left thigh. Allow it to just sink. Soften the left foot. Keeping the eyes closed. This whole practice should have closed eyes, really. I know it takes a little moment sometimes to get into the poses, but the more you can internalize your practice, the more you'll receive, the more sensations you'll hear, feel, the deeper you'll go, the more you'll receive. On the next inhale, bring yourself up, and then walk yourself to center. And then again, choose to flop forward, again using blocks or bolsters, whatever you might want. I personally like the block on this one, just to rest my forehead on. And if it's really uncomfortable, you can bring that right heel a little bit further out, just to soften it up a little bit. But be mindful of any really sharp pain, especially with this one, because sometimes it can go to the knee, and you don't want a sharp pain through the knee, really. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then on the next inhale, bring yourself up and out. Remove the block or the bolster, whatever you have at hand. Lean to the left to release the right. And bring your legs, soles of the feet to the ground. Walk your hands back. And lie down on your back. Walk your heels towards your butt. And really think about the inner heel and the big toe pressing down. We're just doing a 1 minute hip hold, hip lift. So ground the feet and just lift the hips up. Keeping the neck long. Just to relieve any discomfort in your spine or your hips right now, giving a little release. It's more like a rebound pose. And slowly drop the hips down. So we're going to move it into a pontoon, 3 parts of your spine. So you're going to need your block. 3 levels in a block. This level, and this level. I'd start pontoon with the lowest level and see how you go. We're going to start with the upper spine, and you want to place the block over the shoulder blade, so ahead of the tip of the shoulder blade. Start there and drop your head back. Now, if you've got any discomfort in your neck, certainly if you take this block a little higher, you might want to use a second block and place it behind the first block. So when you drop your head down, it doesn't have to go so far. Absolutely your choice. You might be really enjoying that neck stretch, so you don't want to do that. If you don't really feel much, because certainly at the top of the spine you have more muscle, so you might not feel so much, you might want to take it a little bit higher. Just make sure it's ahead of the tip of the shoulder blade. And extend the arms out to either side of you. And really sink into the block. Trust the block. You can keep your legs straight, keep your legs bent, or if you want to open up your hips at the same time, why not? You can open the legs out, soles of the feet together. Closing the eyes down. With every breath, try and bring a little bit more trust into that block. So you're really sinking your whole body weight down into the block. So notice if you're holding on in the shoulders. And the muscles in the shoulders, sometimes they tend to want to maintain themselves. So just relax. Gentle stretch of the neck, the throat. One more inhale, one more exhale. If your legs are separate now, bring the knees together. Use your elbows, forearms as support as you gently bring the head up, especially if you're not using a second block. It can be quite intense on the neck. Release the block and drop it down. Take a 10 to 15 second rebound. And then bending the knees, using the elbows, coming to the middle back, which is underneath the tips of the shoulder blade. And again, start low. It takes a couple of moments to find your space, and then drop it back down again. Using the second block for the neck if you need. Taking it higher if you also need. So play around with it. You've got time. And opening up into that middle back. It's a really nice feeling. Lengthening the leg, so bringing it into your wide leg. If you don't have a block, you could use a pillow. It's not as hard. Or find something that's just got some elevation for you. Close the eyes down. Feel the lower rib cage lift on the inhale and exhale. Feel the back pressing against the block. Couple more breaths here. Soften the lower spine. One more inhale, one more exhale. Bringing the knees together if they're separate. using your elbows or your forearms, gently bringing the head up, releasing the block, bringing it to the side for a second, and taking that 10 to 15 second rebound. You can always lengthen your rebound. You can make it 30 seconds if you want. You can take a minute, just whatever your body's feeling and needing. Listen to that. Last one, the best one for last. Bring the soles of the feet to the ground. Get the block again and go to your sacrum. So the flat bone at the base of your spine. Make sure you get a place where you can actually rest it nicely. And then lower the rest of your body. Lengthening the legs ahead of you. Allow them to flop in any which direction. And again, if you're not feeling much, take it to a higher point in the block. Just make sure you're comfortable. And this is the best one because it's your lower spine, and we tend to have a lot more mobility or flexibility in our lower spine. So we dump a lot of weight there. We overuse it and probably over-abuse it. So by using this pose, it really just for a brief moment takes all that weight out of it. Opening up the hips, relaxing the psoas. Belly rises, belly falls. Again, allowing your hips to just sink down into the block. Relaxing the lower spine. Closing the eyes down. Softening the forehead. Take one longer inhale, allowing the belly to rise. And one really long exhale, sinking into the block. And then gently making your way to the floor. So bringing the soles of the feet to the ground. Grounding the feet so you can lift the hips up. And remove the block. Drop the lower back down. Extend the legs. And bring it into your final Savasana. Finding that stillness that you've been trying to find throughout the whole practice. So still. Even the sensation of your breath is so still, so quiet. And then slowly start bringing a little bit more sound to your breath. Allowing the belly to rise a little bit more. Wiggling the toes, the fingers, the wrists and the ankles. Lift your hands off the floor, lift your feet off the floor and tense up the fists and just squeeze everything, including your face. Squeeze it all. Squeeze the thighs. Everything nice and tense. And then exhale, relax. Gently bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a gentle hug. And roll over to the left side, the yin of the yang. Take a moment here to just reconnect with the floor, taking a couple of nice, rich breaths. And with your eyes still closed, make your way up into a seated position at the top of your mat. Take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, pull your shoulder blades back and open your chests, keeping the eyes still closed. Take an inhale. Exhale. Acknowledge your practice. Thank yourself for being here on your mat, taking time to work on you, your body, your mind. Namaste. Yay!